The internet today plays a significant role in our societies, impacting how human development is realized. It makes it easier for a variety of rights and freedoms to be exercised, such as your freedom to access information, freedom of expression, and access to education. Over the last number of years, internet accessibility around the globe has increased significantly. However, though, in Namibia, only 49% of the total population has access to the internet, and those that are able to pay for access to the internet pay huge prices. Now, today I'm joined here by Mr. Modestus Amutse, who chairs the Parliamentary Standing Committee on ICT. My name is Joshua Hamungela, and I'll be your moderator for this session. And today's session will basically be discussing the free Wi-Fi framework that the government plans on establishing in Namibia and providing to public places. Just to get into it, we really want to understand why the government decided to look at providing a free Wi-Fi for the Namibian people.
Well, the responsibility of each government ought to be to protect the rights of the people, to promote such rights, and also to act in the best interest of the community that it serves. Now, the government of the Republic of Namibia is also a responsible government that works day and night to promote such rights and protect them too, but also to lead the nation into a technological world, which is where the world is today. You remember that we have engaged in the fourth industrial revolution, which is a step to transform the nation into a digital world, or digital knowledge, digital skills, digital usage, and digital transformation in general. Other countries are already into fifth industrial revolution, which is robotic. We are not yet there, but we are saying, how would we best lead our nation and our society to where others are, or even beyond? And that's where we decided at Parliament. I moved that motion on behalf of us, at government, representing the rights of the people and also representing the interest of the people, to see how we can promote connectivity within our society, knowing that as a government we are also busy promoting e-governance. Many ministries have now been transformed into using e-government. So that means the public should be able to access services through the use of a phone, a laptop, iPad, in general, the internet that you are alluding to. So meaning that then we must create an enabling environment for accessibility. And mind you, we also just passed a law on access to information. Now, for the public to access this information, there should be an enabling environment created by the government, or at least by Parliament, to ensure that all the people not only have the right, but they have the tools, or the tools to actually access the information that they want. So specifically, you are talking about Wi-Fi. I was too general. Maybe I must go specific to the Wi-Fi. Now, I knew when I brought up that motion in Parliament that, of course, it will be homework. I knew it won't be an easy thing because there is cost involved, there is skills involved, and there is technology involved. But luckily, it is not a new concept, though, on Mother Earth. There are other countries that have already actually gone far into that, like Rwanda.
Yes, speaking of other countries, we really want to understand what are the specific countries that Namibia has looked into, and their viability of producing or providing free Wi-Fi in the context of Namibia, and implementing perhaps what you have taken from other countries.
Very good. But I should say, although we know that there are countries such as Kenya, some parts of South Africa, like if you are in Tswane, If you go in Gaborone, Botswana, Nigeria, also some parts of Nigeria. If you go to Rwanda, also some parts of Rwanda. But I should tell you, these countries, none of them have free Wi-Fi everywhere.
Okay.
And they are models of transformation into Wi-Fi also differ from country to country. They are using different technologies, or if they use the same technologies, but then they use different designed programs for Wi-Fi dissemination. So what happened is, for instance, Rwanda is targeting schools, and they are also targeting public places like bus stops. What they do is, once you are at a certain bus stop, you will access free Wi-Fi for a certain period of time, and then it will expire, so that to discourage people to leave homes and gather at only one spot, you see, because that could also promote danger on the other hand. Now, on the Namibian context, we have never been too behind everything. We always want to move either ahead or with others.
Yeah.
Remember that when it comes to the freedom of expression, Namibia has been always number one on the African continent, and we are still. Now, when it comes to Wi-Fi on the Namibian context, we want to move it together with the freedom of expression that we have been championing for so long, and we have managed. Now we say, people can better express themselves if we bring free Wi-Fi to public places, such as government offices, universities, schools in rural areas, and also in public schools in rural areas, and also in towns. So because we believe that education now also involves digitalization. So it involves internet for research, e-learning, but also e-teaching.
Yeah.
We have seen that e-teaching is doing a lot. Number one, it is also cost cutting, because a very experienced tutor can deliver a lecture from one point, but this lecture is then distributed through a free Wi-Fi to different schools, for instance, and then students and teachers at those schools can receive this information or these lectures using free Wi-Fi. Now, we want it to be free so that we provide an opportunity for equality and equity. To promote equality and equity, we should create an environment where a learner from the poorest family can also equally access information like a learner from a well-off family. So we want actually to accommodate people by introducing free Wi-Fi, because we know there are those who can afford, but I'm sure, and you are sure too, there are those Namibian children who cannot afford, mind you, to download books in a week. How many lectures in a week? Because you have also to study after physical classes. Just think of how this child really would feel and would have that confidence to pass and would access this information on time like the other children from families who can afford. So that's why we feel it is very important that one day we must be able to assist these children to access information that they need to advance their studies. And free Wi-Fi could be the answer.
Speaking of that, children who are from poor backgrounds and in the rural areas, is it really viable for us to provide free Wi-Fi to places of that sort, places like your Havanas in the informal settlement, places like your Tsunkwes and Okongos in the north? And you can also just mention maybe how this introduction of free Wi-Fi will basically, how it will limit the digital inequality that is happening in the country.
That's a very good question, and I like it. You see, by formulating this motion, I knew that the word is not ending at free Wi-Fi only, because everything starts with a process. I knew that bringing free Wi-Fi would start with a process. Now this process, number one, would engage into investigating how many schools are connected to the net by now, what are their needs to connect to the net, who should connect them, for instance. And that is why we have now engaged all the stakeholders in the industry of ICT. Telecom Namibia, MTC, Parates, CRAN, the Ministry of Information and the Ministry of Education, because these are the key players in bringing free Wi-Fi to the people. And also in filling the gap that could prevent the commissioning of a free Wi-Fi. And the gap I'm referring to is we still have some areas that do not have connectivity, or they have connectivity which is at a 2-generation or 3-generational capacity. And that one then cannot accommodate free Wi-Fi because the broadband, the strength is narrow and it cannot accommodate larger information. And as a result, we need then also to upgrade the country's network from 2G, 3G to 4G. That is actually the focus. But as I'm speaking now, the Ministry of Education is hard at work connecting all the schools. I believe that by next year, there is a likelihood that most of the schools will have access to connectivity. Remember, when we talk about accessing network, it's not necessarily to go and set up a pole or an infrastructure at a certain school. Okay. But we are saying once the network is in the area, the community who should assist this child are also connected, and then the school is also, that's step number one. Okay. And the good of it is that we are on it. Ministry of Education we are coordinating every day because of this envisaged technology that we want to impact on the people. And CRAN is also hard at work. They want to activate the Universal Access Fund, which would then provide funds to connect and to buy facilities needed for a free Wi-Fi at the rural school, which we are saying. And in fact, the rural schools are the most targeted. Okay. In Tsungwa, in fact, we already have a program with Parates. They did it as an institution through their own vision, and it's doing very, very well, where they can deliver lectures from Oshiwarongo to, a lecture is in Oshiwarongo, but is communicating to Tsungwa children. Okay. And the performance has been so good of that school.
That is absolutely brilliant to see and hear. And since we are on the topic of funds, we really want to understand. Obviously, this provision of free Wi-Fi will not come for free. It is cost-bearing, and somebody has to pay for it. So we want to understand who exactly will be paying for this Wi-Fi, and will it not take away from other fiscal demands, such as provision of water to some rural areas. And if you look at it, Wi-Fi is not really a necessity. We have statistics that are coming out, such as 1.6 million people that are living in poverty, and equally 1.5 million people that are living with hunger. Is this really an area that the government should be focusing on when there are more pertinent issues?
Yes, I like the question. You see, when you deny people information, you are making them poor, actually. Because a person needs information to learn. Okay. When you are skilled, it's actually you have lots of information. Education is about having more information than you had before, because then you stay an informed citizen of the Republic of Namibia. This information, you have to get them from somewhere. These are the information that will enrich your mind to be able to construct a toilet, that will enrich your mind to become employable, and that will reach your mind to discover and innovate. So it is actually the source that would, at the end of the day, assist the country to develop, because you don't develop a country through consumption. What you just mentioned are just consumptions. When you have a budget spent on consuming, it means definitely you are not growing the nation. The nation is best grown by impacting knowledge.
But these are the pertinent issues, though, Mr. Amutse.
No, they could be pertinent, but it's more pertinent, and it will even be worse when you don't capacitate your people with information. Okay. Information is learning. I'm again saying, is it not inequality when you have access to your Wi-Fi and can research on your topics, but a child of Mr. B who is not at the position of your parents cannot access that information, and hence will remain uneducated because, or fail because he cannot increase his capacity of learning. So we are saying we want schools to be able to impart knowledge on the children, because education is what will resolve the problems that you are just mentioning.
Yeah.
So, and again, it doesn't mean that now that people are in those status of economy do not have cell phones. Most of them have, and we have seen this during COVID-19.
Okay.
Most of the schools have been able to provide lessons online. But you see, again, children from the families that are just underprivileged families were left behind. They couldn't access this information, and they couldn't access the lectures, and therefore they couldn't perform. So these are the disparity. And if you look deep into it, it will also look like a constitutional order, a constitutional provision, the right, equal right to everybody. So we are trying to equalize the dissemination of information to the Namibian people. I personally do not believe that depriving children from accessing information freely for the purpose of education will actually deprive the country of developing.
I guess children and the larger population.
Of course, the larger population, but since the target is schools.
Okay. So currently this motion just targets schools. Is that what I'm getting from this discussion?
The target is schools,
okay,
public places. By public places, we are referring to, for instance, the airports, to direct our tourists to which direction to go, so they can equally immediately access information of the country.
Okay.
We are referring to places such as universities, also education. So we are referring to places such as maybe public transport.
Okay.
If we have them where children from school or to school can access, or any general public member can access information during that time. Yes, because it's talking about public places, but mind you, it is not government alone in this game.
Okay.
And it has never been the model of promoting free Wi-Fi in any country. In any country where free Wi-Fi exists, the model taken has been everybody's responsibility. It is a shared responsibility. Look, if I have my bus company transporting citizens from point 1 to point B, it's not the government who will come and install public Wi-Fi devices or model in my buses. It is my understanding that I will definitely provide that to my customers, isn't it? And that doesn't take away any portion from the government. So also, that municipalities, some Windhoek municipalities, for instance, have already started implementing that. And they are starting with the location you just mentioned, actually. So it's not really taking away anything, but it's trying to keep the nation informed, because an informed nation can make proper decisions for their own good and for their own future. So it doesn't help us when people are moving. And whether we like it or not, the technology has changed. And we have to equip our people with technology. And making the technology affordable, to me, is the best way to go. Because a school needs computers. These computers must be connected to the net. That's so correct. Now I also want to interpret to you the word free Wi-Fi. You see, nothing is actually free. Depending on which angle you want to take it from. Look, either the generation of the wave itself, it will come on cost, whether it's the apparatus to be used to transmit the wave of free Wi-Fi, it will come on cost, but the cost depends on who's actually carrying it. So that's why I'm saying it's a shared responsibility. A model could be that we say, look, MTC provide the modems on a reduced cost, for instance, or it will provide, let's say, a customized content to the learners, which excludes certain things. just a certain content for learning and teaching purposes. That doesn't take a lot from MTC.
Will it not take away from other physical demands, though, that are in the country?
Anything involving life is important. So when you cater for your clothing, for instance, you compromise something, maybe your books or your computer. Maybe you needed to buy a computer instead of your clothes. So anything that you do definitely take the place of another. So, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do any, because whatever you do will take a place of another. So by not equipping school with technology does not make you a best country, and does not actually also promote a good culture of technology. By letting your nation being left behind by technology doesn't also make you rich, and it doesn't make you respond to the needs of the people. In fact, you are digging a grave for yourself as a nation if you believe that by denying people access to technology, they will become more rich and hence their problems will be addressed. No. That's why you see the world today, like Japan, for instance, it's investing into knowledge technology. And knowledge technology is all about information technology. So information technology must be imparted onto our children from the tender age.
Now, if you're joining us, this is yet another episode of Ask the Experts, a platform by the NMT which takes one-on-one discussions with noted experts to try and find solutions to issues that are affecting Namibians, both on a personal and national level. Now, today we are set with Mr. Modestus Amutse, who chairs the Parliamentary Committee on ICT. And we are speaking on the framework of providing free Wi-Fi to Namibians. And you spoke about providing this Wi-Fi in public places. But as of recent, CRANE has reported that Namibia is experiencing quite a high number of potential hacking. So we want to know, like, in this framework, what are the necessary precautions that the government will take or have considered to protect people's personal information and also their privacy?
Oh, let me say, it is still a research being carried out through the ICT committee, and government will still pronounce itself at the end of the day if the outcome of the research is positive. They say yes, let's go ahead, or let's not go ahead. But what I can say is that the cybercrime is a global problem, and there is no global policies for cyber. So each country is trying to manage its own cyber security in the best way that they can. But again, for you to be a best country to guard against the cyber crimes, you need to educate your people. Your people must be well advanced in the use of technology, so that they can develop softwares to detect to detect hackers and so on, or criminals, digital criminals or cyber criminals. So again, it just tells you that as a nation, we must start promoting the use of technology, and we can only promote the use of technology if we have access to technology and if we can afford technology. So cybercrime as a country, we have a draft bill on cyber security. The draft bill has gone through different stages, and I believe any time it can be tabled in Parliament to become a law. But you see, the danger of cybercrime is technology changes every day. While you are today here thinking that we shouldn't introduce free Wi-Fi, other nations have already gone too far than where we are today, because with technology actually. Yeah. To the extent that a baby, when she or he starts playing around, learning how to walk, is already playing with mini computers. By the time this child is 3-4 years, is already connected, you know, is already connected. So I'm saying cyber security is a problem, but it's a problem that all of us have to actually face. It's not a government issue alone. And mind you, when we talk about cyber crimes also, there are other players in the game.
Okay.
Human rights societies, for instance, is one that also determine to how far the government can go in interfering in somebody's surveillance. You see, there are a lot of things that are going around. It's not just a one-man show, so it's not a government show alone. It needs a commitment from all of us as a nation if we are to really overcome cyber crimes. But generally, it is a concern everywhere in the world. Of course, countries with advanced technologies like Europe and others are at a better position to protect their system. But them too have problems, because anyway, that's where those crimes are generated. So most of the programs for those being used to carry out those crimes are generated. And as a step in Namibia, you see, that's why we have started registering SIM cards also, so that we are able to know who the criminal is better. That's also, it's a good start. Although cyber crimes are actually embroidered into softwares mostly, websites and things like that, not necessarily on your mobile phone. So it's quite a complex issue. But as I'm sitting with you now, those experts in those crimes are developing new ideas, new technologies to advance from where they were yesterday. So it is not going to be easy until we all come on board to really work hard to broaden the knowledge on digital technology.
Okay. Now, Mr. Amutse, I just wanted to take you a little further back.
Yes.
And if you could just speak to us about the quality of Wi-Fi, that if this framework is obviously passed, that will be provided. Are we talking about, because even in Windhoek itself, which is the capital city of the country, you go into certain neighborhoods or certain locations of the town, and internet quality is not the best. So when you talk about now the overall internet quality or Wi-Fi quality that will be provided under this framework, what are we looking at?
I must say you should be proud to be a Namibian, because that's where we have 87% of the country covered by the network.
Okay.
Other countries are not yet there. Even the countries that we are preaching about too much here are not yet at 87%. So, of course, with a combination of the network that we are having. I know in big towns we have 4G, and in smaller towns we might have a combination of 4 or 3. And
actually
deep remote areas,
sometimes even.
Yeah, remote areas we have mostly 2G. Now 2G, you know, is designed for communication only, because we were not yet where we are today. So our focus by then was to ensure that people can communicate through the use of a phone, and that we have succeeded to an extent. The smaller parts where we are not, I believe in a year or so we will be able to cover the country 100% with the net. That was our focus, and I think that minimum entry into the use of network to us is a must. It's very, very important, because you can speak to your grandmother today. Your grandmother might not be able to use Wi-Fi or any other facilities on the mobile phone, but at least what is important to her and to you is to communicate. So that communication level we are happy with. Of course, but I understand your question is the quality of
the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the quality of the wave or transmission, or the broadband.
The broadband.
Yes, all that. So, but you see, when you want to win a battle, don't start with all your weapons. You start with the small arms, and if they can't, you go to the next stage. And that's where I say we have started connecting different areas with different networks on different generations. But the focus for Namibia now is to move to 5G.
Okay.
So that is the focus for Namibia. But again, it won't be a once-off deal. So everything goes through processes. So we will still, upgrade those who were at 2 level, the second generation to the third or fourth generation. In fact, we want to do away. The focus now in both telecommunication houses is to move away from 2G and 3G.
Okay.
And actually just have 4G, transform our country into the use of 4G, while other areas are busy actually transforming to or transiting to 5th generation. So it's all about the capacity that we have as a country. So that would actually determine what speed we should go to implement all this that we want. But I'm confident that all this will be something of the past very soon.
Okay.
With the level of the political will that we have and the courage that I have seen in our telecommunication houses like Telecom, NTC and others. They all want to move the country to the next level.
All right. Speaking about our internet service providers, and this is something that you have mentioned earlier in terms of the cost implications that are obviously involved in this. But we really want to know now, if there's obviously Wi-Fi that is available publicly, some might wonder, why would they pay for their monthly Wi-Fi subscriptions when they can simply use that which is available publicly? So the question then rises, will this not stifle competition?
Yes, that's a very beautiful question. In fact, I should say even the service providers, I could smell fear in them. And they are right to think that, no, this Amutse's motion is taking away our bread.
Yeah.
And it's genuine if they think like that. But of course, like I say, everybody doesn't live in a school or in a university. It's only our children who will go there. I don't think they will definitely feel bad if they are capacitating children to learn, to give them an environment, a better environment for studying, and giving our teachers a better environment for researching, at school environment. I don't think that would be a problem. Public places can be designed, like I say. In other countries, they look at where people gather, most like bus stops and so on. People don't live there. And we can also design our network in such a way that, like the example of Rwanda, where a person is only allowed to use it for free for, say, 15 minutes if it's public place. Yeah, so that it discourages you. And then the rest you buy. And remember, I also said customized content.
Yeah. So
you would probably want to access other contents like YouTubes and others, which you may not access with free Wi-Fi. Obviously, you will still buy. So to an extent, MTC is already giving e-learning cheaper, a very nice rate for e-learning. So it's not something totally new. Maybe it's just being reshaped to fit in the shoes of those who couldn't even afford e-learning. But the margin, I don't think it's a very big issue. Of course, at the moment, we have these stakeholders bringing their views, combining their views and giving us a direction on their views, how we should go forth without them losing. Yeah. Because we also don't want them to lose out in business. That's why I mentioned the Universal Access Fund, knowing that there are areas where we cannot really compel these service providers to go and set up facilities because there are not many people. So if they have to make profit from their business. So so they should have they should make profit for survival, but then the Universal Service or Access Fund, if it's operationalized, it will then be able to cater for those areas where these people can not only use lots of funds to provide the needed services. So actually that is the aim of that act, the Universal Access Fund, is to come in where the service providers believe by playing a role there, they will run a risk of losing income. So, and we don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah, so as a government, we may come in there, but we have good corporate entities who are also interested in education. So, like we say, it will be a shared responsibility, and I believe some schools might even, I may buy a school at my village, just a modem or two. It's not expensive, it's $700 or less.
Which is quite a lot for some of us. But,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, that's why it's quite a lot for some, and those that see it quite a lot, we must be able to provide for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been yet another episode of Ask the Experts, a platform by the NMT that aims to have one-on-one discussions with noted experts to try and find solutions to issues that are affecting Namibians on both the personal and national level. Until then, this is goodbye from us. Let's keep the conversation going on social media.